The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. If we're blasting your ears with the audio, it may be a technical difficulty because now I'm deaf from the introduction music, but I don't know. Welcome, I'm Chip. CJ's working out of the audio, and we all know the man, the legend.
There you are.
That's right, Mr. Carlos Cesar.
Yes, I'm back. I guess
He's back. He's like a bad penny. That's right. We're gonna finish.
We have to finish our conversation, I guess.
I don't know. CJ's playing around in there. He'll get to us later, but I don't even know if we're on. But we hear you had another no-show at your meeting.
Yes, we had a no-show again, so it was the second time for us. We will, I guess, give it another shot. After a no-show Niagara for three times, I think we deserve another chance, I guess.
You get one more no-show, three no-shows, and you're out, right?
Yes, 3 no-shows, and that's it. At this point, it will not be announced anymore. So
We're getting background noise and everything else, CJ. I don't know what's going on here. But we apologize to our viewers. I don't know what's happening here, because that's why I don't go near that control room. Because
yeah, I know. I don't know how.
There's way too many buttons in there, and way too many
can...
switches, and something really tragic would happen if I got my hands on all those buttons. But we'll press on as though it seems like everything's a little bit normal now. Hopefully it is.
CJ, talk to us. We cannot hear you. Oh, you're trying?
CJ.
I think I've got control of this now.
God. Now I know why you don't have hair.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just starting to grow again, Carlos. It's just gone. He just blew it right off my head. That audio is so loud, CJ. There's something wrong with that mic or something.
Yeah.
This is what happens when we come in after the state reps have used the studio.
Well, and you're still pretty loud and you're echoing. I don't know how our audio is, but I hope it's better.
Your audio seems to be pretty good.
Okay.
I think I've got control of the echoing in here. I'm trying to adjust the gain and whatnot on the system.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
That's very good. Okay.
Yeah. Now we can hear you.
Sorry, everybody, but this is what happens on live TV. It's
exactly.
So this is
and that's exactly what happens when we run to the studio. We sit down, put the mics on, and turn the camera on. That's it.
right.
Well, the worst part about it was that I had started the intro, and lately the system here has been running so very slow, so the intro actually wasn't playing. And I'm over there hitting it to play, it was driving me nuts.
The good thing about this, CJ, is that people will now know that we don't even have a chance to say or to discuss what we're going to talk about.
That's right.
So this is live.
Yeah, this is really live. This is basically free association. We're gonna talk about whatever comes up most of the time, especially in periods like this where there seems to be a lull in things going on in the city. I mean, we have a few things that are on the horizon, on the back.
Yeah.
The pay-as-you-throw is going to be coming up, the ordinance and stuff. But it's kind of like,
yes.
Well, we're trying to get a handle on what's going on politically. And I know that you had a no-show again at your meeting, which I know is extremely frustrating
yes,
to you.
I was upset. And I sent a message to the mayor. Because out of the 3 meetings that I attend, that he was supposed to be there, I got to one of them. And I had my questions. I just didn't ask the questions because number one, it was not my neighborhood. I didn't want to take time away from that neighborhood and those neighbors to contact the mayor or to ask the questions to the mayor because he was coming to my meeting. And now when he comes to my meeting, now he comes to my home, now I can ask them the questions I need and my neighbors. So, but and I told them was I don't think that you have the answers for us. I think the mayor probably will have the answers for us. And I just showed them one question, and was the questions about the vehicles. How many vehicles the city owns? And the question was, I don't know.
I can give you an answer to one question. I know how many unmarked vehicles they have in DCM 1. It's got tinted windows and it's not marked in accordance with city ordinance.
But what concerns me is this is the people that search page by page, dollar by dollar, where we're going to save money to the city. You know, so I guess they pass that page.
Yeah.
They don't know how many vehicles we have, so we don't know how much gas we spend, how much money in gas we spend. But anyway, but this was just...
Yeah, no, well, you know, you justifiably, and I will say, you know, I did have a meeting with the mayor yesterday, and I will tell you that, you know, the meeting was a fairly long meeting, and I think it was, you know, it was pretty decent meeting. I mean, I gave him my opinion on some things that we'll go over during the show, and he was very, very frank with me. He was very, you know, he was very upfront, and I think that he never in his wildest dreams anticipated what a mayor has to do and how many directions you get pulled. You know, being a DA is, you know, it's, you know, you're just dealing with court cases, and lawyers have time to get their cases together. They get discovery and they go through a process and they have time. But, you know, being a mayor is all about, you know, you have not only have to do the business of the city, you have to do the politics of the city. You have to meet with people and you have to do things. And I don't think he was, and he freely admitted that he is pretty overwhelmed right now. He's
Yes.
But we disagreed on the tourism director, on the neighborhood, and you know, and I we can agree without being disagreeable.
I know.
I do not believe, and I told him very clearly that we need a neighborhood liaison. My position is that we went without a neighborhood liaison for many years. That position was created as a political job for one of Mayor Flanagan's old school chums, and realistically, I know neighborhood associations functioned very well for years before we ever had this position, and I think it's better, in my opinion, it's better if the neighborhoods go directly to the mayor without having a buffer. Because this is what happens. The mayor decides, well, I'm kind of busy and I don't have to show up because my liaison can handle this or something else. And the fact is, you know, for many years, I went to neighborhood association meetings to represent the fire department or to monitor what they were saying about the fire department, and also to see the police department went there when there were issues. And, you know, what happened was neighborhoods reached out to the mayor directly and said, look, these are the problems we have. And he'd get whoever went there, and if it necessitated him going there, he showed up. I think the liaison, in my opinion, and I told him, you know, because I've never been bashful to voice my opinion. So I told him that I thought it was a total waste of money, and the money could be better used in other places in the community. And he said, well, you know, give me some examples. And I said, well, give me a day or two to figure. I'll figure plenty of ways to use that money more productively. Yeah. I said, rather than giving somebody, a good job with full benefits in a city where we could put a firefighter, a police officer, another guy picking up trash, another guy servicing the people. So, you know, that's just my opinion on it. So you can feel free to.
No, yeah, I mean, on that, I'm just going to kind of fill you in, because whatever I'm going to say is not going to change your opinion. but just to give you a better idea, I'm from the time that Maureen Estes was the neighborhood's outreach coordinator. Then we lost it through about careers. And then Flanagan brought it back again. If he brought it back to give a job to a friend, on that I agreed with you. That's what he did. But on the other side, we have tools today on our box that we didn't have before through all this time. And that position will be more than just pick up a phone call that we need to fix a hole on our street. We want somebody that will go after money to help us do our job as leaders of neighborhoods. During that position, they create the block. They got the grants to demolish the abandoned homes that we identified on neighborhoods. He funded the money to create like the a tree farm, and more. So that job is not just to get our calls, but is to go after grants, to go after money that we can benefit on our neighborhoods. But like I said, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
You are responsible for your opinion, and I have my opinion as a leader. Because I will tell you, if I didn't have that to back up that position,
Yeah.
I would be agreeing with you in all aspects.
Well, I've got to just say this, Carlos, and I understand that, and it's nice, but you see, this is where my perspective is about. This is what's happened in our government. This is a great example of how we continue to just get more and more layers of jobs for these people. Because, and I understand what you're saying, but in my opinion, we don't need that job for the CDA to do that work. Because they get federal money, and they keep continuing to remind us that, they're a federal agency, they're not answerable to us. But it's a community development. And community development is getting grants to get the community. We don't need one person with that. We don't need to add another job. That should have already been being done by the CDA. We didn't need to create another political position, another salary for a non-essential job, because let's face it, what does the CDA do? And I mean, it's fine. I think it's great to run little things for kids and run little programs down at the Bank Street Armory or wherever they're going to relocate it. And hopefully after they don't blow $300,000 on a study on how to revamp that thing. But the community development should be doing that as part of their everyday business. They should be looking for every single dollar, every single grant available for every neighborhood, for everything in this city.
And I have to say this, if they come up and say, we don't need to hire an extra person because one of this person that we have that work for our department can handle that job, I'm okay with it. That doesn't mean that we need to create a new job. I'm fine with it as long as we have that person that will help us to,
I totally understand. But you see, that's my problem. It's even with my meeting. CJ, are you alive in there?
Yes, I am.
Just check. Okay.
He's still touching the buttons.
He's still touching the buttons. Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm actually listening very good.
But in my conversation with Miesi, that was one of the things we talked about constantly increasing with all these assistants and stuff. And we had a little discussion, and I didn't get to finish it because he had to go to another meeting, but he talked about, because I told him what I said in front of the council. I said, I remember a time when we had $10 million in a reserve fund, and we had a 300-man fire department, a 300-man police department, and a DPW or DCM twice as big as it is now. And what we didn't have was a city administrator, chief of staff, special assistant to this, special assistant to that. and all these, and then he said, no, Carlton told me that he had Alan Sylvius. I said, well, so I'm going to say on the air, and when I see you again, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to correct you. Carlton Viveris did not have a city administrator when he first took office, and for a long period of time. Alan Silva was the first city administrator, and that position was the result of a citywide, complete reorganization of all departments. And what did that reorganization result in? The city administrator, a personnel director. It also resulted in a criteria for all department heads, which, by the way, was not adhered to, because at the time, the DPW required a degree to be the head of it, and it increased the salary, yet the individual put in that position did not have the required degree. So again, is a reorganization good? Yes, but only if the reorganization is looked upon as something that's going to streamline the city, and that was what it was portrayed to be, but it ended up adding tier after tier after tier. You know, we had money in the bank, we had fully funded departments, and we didn't have all this management. And my fundamental question and problem is, how did we manage to run a city with twice the number of people in most of these departments with less management? But now the answer is always more management, more people, more jobs for the people that get, not the people that are delivering the services to you and I, but the more jobs to help them administer when they're administering far less. You know, if you ran a business and you had 5 supervisors, and for some reason something happened, you had to cut your business got cut, you had to cut down. If you had 1 supervisor per 100 people and you laid off 100 people, you'd have to eliminate a supervisor. And that's what you do in a real business. But in government, you lay off 100 people and you add supervisors, because that's what we do in Fall River. And it's crazy. And these kind of concepts that they've begun to brainwash the people about is bothering me, because the other thing he said that really disturbs me is that we didn't raise taxes every year. And I said, there's no necessity to raise tax. He said, yes, there is. You have to understand. I said, no, I don't understand. If you've got $10 million in the bank, why do you raise taxes to hurt, to burden the people? Well, that's the way it is. This is the new myth that government is, that Fall River is trying to, and other governments are saying. Get used to it. Your taxes have got to go up every year to do the business of the city. And my answer to that is bullshit.
You know, Chip, I have to agree with you there, because oddly enough, when you listen to politicians, and again, before today's show, our state representatives and our state senator were here, and they do their monthly, talk from the Hill. And they said the politically correct way to address taxes is to call it revenue. So when you hear the word revenue from now on, remember, to the politician, to the elected official, to the city councilor, the mayor, the school committeeman, to the state rep, the congressman, revenue means more taxes. That means we're going to give it to you both barrels. And the problem is that they keep forgetting finances in Fall River are finite. This isn't Newton. This isn't Boston. This isn't Cambridge. This isn't Providence, Rhode Island. Okay? The people in this city live at a rate of $29,000 plus or minus $1,000, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to be called a fabricator. That live on that's for a family. That's not for one person, that's for a family. So when you give a pay cut to someone, or somebody agrees to a pay cut of $10,000 to $15,000 or for a $100,000 salary, that is insulting to the people of Fall River. That pay cut is equated to half their year's annual salary. Okay? Understand, this isn't New Bedford. We do things differently in Fall River. Okay? And that's the problem. For some reason, you think that you're the DA of Fall River. You can do what you want and as you see fit. And that's not the way it is. You have to work within the system here. And you said it yourself in your State of the City address. You're not used to having to deal with unions and contracts and a legislative body. You don't understand how you just can't say it and it happens. That's because that is true government.
Well, the other problem is this myth that taxes always have to go up and we've got to run this because we need revenue or whatever you want to call it, whatever euphemistic title you want to give them. The reality is that, listen, why don't we have a unique idea? They keep saying run a city like a business. It's not a business. Businesses are for profit. Cities, governments are here to basically maintain order and to give back the people to essential services. That's why we pay taxes. Why don't we run it like a house? I don't increase my budget every year just because I should increase it, because guess what? As CJ just said, our salaries don't increase every year. It's great that the state reps say revenue, and let's not tell the people about we're going to tax them. Don't use the words that will inflame them and instigate them. Let's use some other words. But guess what? They figured out how to get a pay raise every single year without ever going back to the public. Because many, many years ago, they called it the Halloween Massacre. The legislature voted themselves a huge pay raise on Halloween night, and the state went nuts. They stormed the polls. They were going to throw them all out of office, and guess what our legislators did? They figured out a way to do it. Now they never have to ask for a pay raise. They can give themselves a cost of living raise anytime they want. Mm-hmm. So, you can't, the mayor has to understand that this city, as we said before, has to be built brick by brick. We have to look at it objectively. We have to know that we have a city here with people with no money. You're going to make a horrible problem worse. You can't get blood from a stone. These people, we've only got 37% of the people who own property, and you're going to continue to say, well, the way is we're just going to keep raising their taxes. Well, we're going to raise the taxes until we have a complete city of subsidized housing, and we're going to have no city. We're going to have no businesses, because that's the reason that the city has gone down. Years ago, when I was growing up and everybody worked in the mills, they weren't rich, but they had a paycheck, and they used to go out to eat. They used to go to stores, and there were a lot more stores here. I mean, you could go down South Main Street, and there was Sawyer's Men's Shop and Empire Men's Shop, and there were 9 restaurants between Stafford Square and Bogle Hill, just in the Flint alone. I can name the 9 restaurants that were in the Flint. And now they're going to have no restaurants, basically. Mm-hmm. And Carlos can speak to that. But the fact is, why was that? Why? Was Fall River a rich city then? No, it wasn't. But we had working people. And now we import non-working people, because all we get in this city is more subsidized housing, and the people who can get a job move out of the city, and you can't continue. You gotta streamline government. Stop with the adding. Let's start subtracting all the fat. And after you take out every single bit of fat in this city, after you've done what I have to do in my house, when I have to pick, and I have a large project that I have to do, and I don't have the money for it, I have to figure out a way to get the money, and that's by tightening my belt and maybe not eating steak. I have to eat hamburger, and that's what we've got to do. I'm sick and tired of this baloney of saying more management and more taxes is the answer to the city's problems.
And let me add this, as the city is not helping or not helping enough. I was just in a meeting, and I heard that one very good restaurant in Fall River was trying to expand. He wants to go a floor up. This city don't want to allow him to go up. So guess what? He's looking for an empty restaurant in Dartmouth to move away. And this is a restaurant that's very busy in Fall River. Yeah. So we not help them. We want money from them. We want them to pay more, but we not give them the tools to make money so they can pay us money. you know. So that's what the city it's all about.
Well, you see, you're right, and that's the thing. They keep trying to say that they're trying to stimulate economy, tourism. It's all crap. The
Right.
fact is, the same thing happened with the Ugly American. I don't know if anybody knew about the Ugly American. The Ugly American was a hamburger place on New Boston Road. It was actually selected by the Phantom Gourmet as a hidden jewel.
It was $9.
It wasn't, and it wasn't a $9 hamburger, but it was a great burger. It was they were handmade when you ordered them, and they were excellent, and it was really, really good. And they had really good, you know, it was just a burger joint, but it was a real nice. And I'll tell you, the guy made a great business. I got very friendly with the guy. And the guy did nothing but complain about he wanted to expand, he wanted to do, and Fall River did nothing but obstruct the process. You can't, you know, the reality is, and I've said it, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist now, but I think they want to keep everybody in Fall River making a little money so all the rich people can buy the land cheap and they can get richer, because, you know, it goes all the way back to the casino when they opposed the casino because they didn't want to raise the prevailing wage, and we've gone over that. But, you know, it's almost like they're talking a good game, but they do everything they can to keep this city downtrodden.
You know, and it's interesting, Chip, because where did the Ugly American go?
Providence.
It went to Providence. And what did Providence do for them? Providence made sure they were able to open their doors there. A great thing, they brought them there. What happened to Trio? A restaurant downtown. They went to New Bedford, okay? Businesses close their doors in Fall River, and they go to other cities and towns where they can get business. Not TIFs, not great tax credits, not anything, where they can get business. Why? Because those businesses have communities, they're now in communities that have money. They have money to spend. And by continually increasing the low-income population in Fall River, by increasing low-income housing, we're not going to have money to spend. We're just going to keep bringing that median income down lower and lower. And that's what Fall River's coming to. And it's sad.
It is. And Carlos is obviously, I know there's a restaurant. People are retiring on Pleasant Street, and that's another
Yes, that's
another loss.
yes,
You know, another loss.
yes.
It's, you know, it's tragic to see in this
They
city.
probably could survive another 5 years, but why they going to if the city's not helping them? You know, it's like I can either retire now or retire 5 years down the road, but it will be no difference. So I will retire now.
You're right, and you know the great thing about this, the Ugly American, the Trio, you know, the Flint restaurant.
Yep.
That is the name of it, right? Flint Restaurant. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All these businesses. I don't know how they can blame. You know, is it our fault because we didn't pay enough taxes that they're closing? No, it's not our fault. There's the flaw in your argument. Fall River's going to get better when we pay more taxes, when we figure out that we have to pay more taxes. No, it's not. Fall River's going to get better when you start working to help businesses. When rather than having businesses move out because they can't get anything done in this city, that we start bringing businesses in and doing, not TIFs either.
Well, you know, it's
By helping them get into business.
It's interesting because, you know, I was part of the opening of the Popeyes, and even they've changed companies. They've sold the restaurant to another company now. So, again, you're looking at significant changes in Fall River.
But I have to tell you, this restaurant, if he moves, the people will go with the restaurant. Doesn't matter where they go because they're that good.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and that's it.
that's today's show.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank y'all for watching. Have
Thank
a great
you.
day now.
Have a great day. I hope it wasn't too messed up at the beginning.
It's a little messed up at the end.